Hi there! If you're watching this video, it's because you would like to learn what is the design pattern MVC. So in this video, we're gonna see what is the difference between a class in Java for model, for controller, and what is a view. That in this case, we're going to use HTML, and we are going to use to explain it the framework Spring Boot with TimeLift. So let's go in. The design pattern MVC requires three things, or three layers of abstraction. The first one, is the view. The second one is the controller, where we are going to handle the requests and we are sending back the model, that is the information that we are having, to the view. And of course, we have a class that is the model. With the model, we are wrapping the information to send it back to the view. And with the view, we wanted to expose this information to the user that can see, for example, with HTML. So let's say that, for example, I would like to show in a view in HTML about the details of a user. So we're going to create a new HTML file that's going to be view, and in this view we would like to see the user details. For that, we're going to just create user detail header, the name, and of course the email. That in this case you can see that our model is going to be user that contains parameter name and parameter or property email to show this to the view. So now, of course, we will need to create a class that is having all this information that is sending back to the view. So we are going to create a record that in this case is going to be user model, for example. In this record, we can just then create the properties string name and a string email. And then, of course, we need the third class or the third layer, this is the controller. With the controller, just basically in a Spring, we can just create a new class, let's say user controller, for example, where we are going to create a controller class, and then we are going to just use public string get user, and then we're going to indicate with annotation that it's going to be get mapping in order to just accepting get request. And of course, we're going to return the name of the view, in this case is view. Why view? Is basically because the HTML that we have it, the name of the file is view.html. So then Spring will try to find the view of the HTML in the folder that contains view. It means the name of the file is view, and of course it's .html. In this case, it's view and view. So now if we run our server and we go to the browser and we do localhost 808080, we can see there's an error. Why there's an error? If we go back to our console in IntelliJ, we can see that Spring is complaining because hey, you know what? This property name is null, so we cannot find it. We cannot find it. It's null. What is happening here? It is basically because we would like to show name and email from a user, but we don't have the model yet. We don't have the connection between the view and the model. So then it's complaining it. How can we just add a new model? So let's say that we would like to create a new user. This user equal a new user model that we can just say John as a name and then john@gmail.com. That is the information that we want to put it back. And then in the Spring, we need to inject one last thing to our method that is model, and we can call it, for example, model. And then now we can say model.addAttribute with the name user, and then user as a variable that we are sending back. Here, what we are indicating is hey, to the model, we have an attribute called user. We're going to have a relationship with this user name attribute with the user, the information of the class. Why user? Because in the view, we have the user.name. If we change, and instead of having user, we can have, for example, customer, then in the view, we need to have also customer.name, customer.email, because this is the name of this attribute for this model that we are sending back to the view. To make it clear, just going to use user and user in the view. So now if we restart our app and we go back to our browser and refresh the page, now we can exactly see that the user detail is name John, email john@gmail.com, as we indicated in the controller. So if we check again in our code, we can see, of course, John and john@gmail.com. But that's not the only thing that we can do. We can create, for example, another user. In this case going to be user2. There's a new user model. The name is going to be Helena. And again, it's going to be Helena user2@gmail.com. And once again, we're going to set back our model and says user2 as the index of this model, and then we're going to use user2. So now we come back to the view and we can copy and paste, and instead of user, we can say user2 and user2. If we refresh our server now, and once again, we go back to our browser and refresh the page, here we have it. Now we have two informations of our users. That is because we have two models in our view and two models for the controller. The first is, of course, name John, email john@gmail.com, name Helena, and helena@gmail.com. So let's back again to the code. I'm going to explain you. So as you can see in the controller, it's the one who is connecting the models and the view. It's the one who is handling the requests and the response back to the view. And the model is the one who's having this information that we would like to send to the view through the controller. And of course, in the view, we are showing this information to the end user. So now you can see how the design pattern works and how's the connection between model, view, and controller with the design pattern MVC. So I hope that you really like the video. Of course, you have the comments if you have any questions or you would like to add something else to this video, and I will try to answer it as soon as possible. And of course, remember to give it a like and subscribe. So once again, I hope that you really like the video, and I see you in the next one. Bye!